I'm just not strong enough to fight this one by myself.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll see how a woman destroys 25 years of marriage in a divorce. We'll look at her reasons and how the ex-husband came out completely devastated from this divorce. She says it's fair that he got his 50%. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year to get our first plaque. That's the only support we ask from you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Share your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. And without further introduction, let's get started.
Why get a divorce after 25 years of marriage? The short answer is because it is not too late to be happy. And I finally got to a point at the beginning of the year where I decided that it wasn't too late to be happy. I still have, hopefully, many more years left, and I would like to be happy for those years. And that was never going to happen inside my current marriage. No matter how many wonderful people, supportive people, positive people you surround yourself with, it will never have as much of an impact if you have toxic people in your home. And the two most toxic people in my life, two most toxic adults in my life, live in my home with me right now. And my husband was definitely someone that sabotaged all of my efforts to try and get healthy, to try and feel better, to be more successful, to be happy. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, and it really doesn't matter at this point. I want to be happy. I want to be hopeful. I want to surround myself with people and experiences and success and love and peace that I will never be able to find if I stay married. And so we're getting a divorce, and the best way I can really describe that experience of 25 years, it's like climbing or riding in a roller coaster to the highest peak. And it's just one click at a time, one thing at a time. And then you finally get to the top, and that's the tipping point. There is no going back. There's nothing to fix, no desire anymore to try and fix things. You've already put in that effort, and it's a free fall to a new life and new experiences. And I am so looking forward to those. And so today I am really grateful for the new experiences I am about to have, because I am going to be able to surround myself with wonderful people and amazing experiences. So please tell me what you are grateful for today.
Remember, man, according to feminism, marriage is only to make the woman happy. As soon as she feels unhappy, she will blame you as a man for her own decline. She will say she deserves to be happy, of course. After 25 years of marriage with a man about to retire, that's when she wants to find happiness. Remember that a woman is an emotional being, so selfish that she doesn't care if she has to sacrifice her family and the stability of her children, as long as she can be happy. That's why marriage vows are a sham. Only the man keeps them. 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and 43% are initiated between the ages of 45 and 55 because women don't want to take care of their retired husbands. That's why we say here that on the wedding day, only the man marries for love and the woman for a lifestyle. As soon as that lifestyle is threatened, like with the man's retirement, she will leave you with the excuse that she deserves to be happy.
I don't know what I love you is supposed to mean anymore, but I know it doesn't erase lying. It doesn't erase stealing. It doesn't erase unfaithfulness. It doesn't erase coercion. I love you doesn't erase guilt. I love you doesn't erase being ignored when you are begging for help. I love you doesn't fix anything. I love you doesn't mean I should stay. I love you means something ugly now.
One eternity later.
I'm just not strong enough to fight this one by myself. I don't know what to do. I was doing so good. And today, I just feel crushed.
I agree with her that I love you means nothing because millions of men have been deceived by this phrase. Men who gave women access to their lives were later betrayed by those same women who said they loved them. Women who never sacrifice anything for their love but gain by destroying yours. And you might ask, what does it mean to sacrifice for love? It's when a man signs that contract with the devil, where the woman has access to all his assets, including his money, house, business, pension, or 401k. The state allows her to take your children, and in the worst cases, forces the man to pay alimony to a woman who is no longer with him. Where does the woman lose in this equation? Where is her sacrifice? It is the man who is putting years of his life, everything he has worked for, into the woman he loves. But they fix it with a few tears and a bit of sympathy on the internet, crying to strangers who don't really care, but attention is an addiction for women.
So I'm going through a divorce after a 25-year marriage. Never been through divorce before. And I have a question. I'm really curious. So he is telling people that I kicked him out of the house. And it just seems to me that there was no way that we were going to continue living together. It was becoming more and more like verbally hostile, not cruel, but hostile. It was definitely tense. We have a child who could definitely sense that things were tense, and mom and dad were more angry than usual, or short-tempered maybe is a better word. And so now, we had talked, he knew that we were going to get a divorce for 2 or 3 months. Then I filed for divorce. He stayed for about 4 weeks after filing, and then moved out. And I'm just curious, how many people stay together through the divorce process until the divorce is final? Because I just couldn't imagine living in the same house with him for, I mean, the minimum here is 90 days. If it took longer, I can't imagine. So how many of you that have been through divorce stayed in the same house with your spouse until the divorce process was over?
What? What the fuck?
How ironic that she says there's no way we could keep living together. After she wants to end everything, she files for divorce. But in this country, when a woman wants to leave you because she's not happy, you're the one who has to leave the house. She doesn't want to be with you. But that doesn't mean she doesn't want to keep the house. This is the unfair part. Why, if she wants to leave, doesn't she pack up and go? Oh, because the child has to stay with her. You know what else is ironic? She disabled the comments because men were telling her everything. Watch how she defends herself in the other video.
In a video I posted a couple of days ago, I asked the question as to whether or not divorcing couples live together through the divorce process, or one or both parties leaves the residence. And many of you answered that question, and I really appreciate that. There are also a lot of people upset with me for me not leaving the home if I was that unhappy, and saying things along the lines that my soon-to-be ex, is the one getting screwed over in all of this, and that I'm taking everything. That is absolutely not the case. It's a 50-50 split, and
It's an amicable divorce. We're not fighting. And he and I both agreed together that it was important for our son to stay in this home and stay with me. My soon-to-be ex did not want to take my son. He did not want to be the one to stay and finish raising our son. So it's not unfair. And my son has had enough disruption in his life. He lived in just as much of a toxic environment as I did, and he underwent some trauma about 4 years ago. And so it was important for my soon-to-be ex and I that he have the consistency of staying in this home and not being forced to move and not being forced to change schools. I would have preferred actually to have sold this house and moved, and I was hoping that my son would be excited at maybe having a fresh start somewhere. And since that wasn't the case, we stopped all conversation about selling the house and moving. And my husband is getting a fair split of everything. So for those of you concerned for my husband, I understand, and I know that there are a lot of people that do get screwed over in divorces, and no one wins. There is no winning in this, but hopefully there is an element of healing and moving on and finding a measure of happiness for both of us, including three of us, including my son. So thank you for taking the time to comment.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Of course, how convenient. Why don't you leave since you're the one who wants out of the marriage? Let the man live with his child in the house. Do you see this as fair? She talks about differences, but the reality is different. You'll see the real reason she wants to end it in the last video. But 50-50 and she says it's fair. Do you know how much a house costs in Washington? Around $250,000 to $300,000 for a decent 3-bedroom house. Just think, this woman is 50 to 55 years old, married for 25 years, and that man must be 58 to 63 years old. Do you think it's easy to make that kind of money again at that age? She says it was 50-50. What an abuser. Now that the man is close to retirement, she divorces him, saying nobody wins and we should move on. How nice. Move on without paying rent and without starting from scratch at 60. But watch the real reason she leaves him in the last video.
Some people I've talked to about my divorce think that it is a terrible thing, and some people think it's a wonderful thing. And in this case, it is really a wonderful thing. If you ask my soon-to-be ex-husband, he might not agree. Certainly wouldn't have 3, 4, 5 months ago, and he might not agree for another 2, 4, or 6 months from now, but ultimately it really is a good thing for both of us, because really being married, he wanted to live a single man's life, and now that he is living on his own, he gets to watch TV when he wants to, and he doesn't have to do dishes unless he wants to. He doesn't have to mop the floor unless he wants to. He doesn't have to clean a bathroom unless he wants to. So now he feels lonely. No one's telling him or asking him to help out, to pay attention to anyone. And now he feels lonely. Now he needs cataract surgery, and there's no one there to take care of him. If he'd had the cataract surgery 1.5 years ago, someone would have taken care of him. And now he needs it. He can't get his driver's license back. He can't go back to work until he has the cataract surgery. And he wants me to feel sorry for him. He actually asked me to drive down to Oregon to take care of him while he has the surgery. He may have been partially joking, but he was partially serious. So I am just waiting. I have 43 more days, until the divorce is final, and I am just waiting for the judge to say I am legally and officially divorced, that tie has been cut, and I have most certainly already moved on. I am happier than I can ever remember. I'm healing, and I am finding joy and happiness in daily living. Whereas before I was so deep in depression and I was hopeless and I was finding ways to not live. So I have 43 more days, and this divorce is a good thing. And eventually I think he'll agree that it's a good thing for him too. Because I don't want bad things for him. I just don't want his things to be mixed with my things anymore. I want us to live separate lives and find happiness doing it.
See what I told you? I knew there was something behind it. This is why I don't believe in marriage vows. Because in a woman's illness, the man is always present. But in a man's illness, the woman abandons him. Look how she says it's wonderful because she doesn't have to take care of him. Women aren't stupid. As long as the man is strong, they will stay with him. When the man is close to retirement, 1 or 2 years away from pensioning, the woman leaves because he will soon be a burden. She doesn't want to take care of you. This isn't about a man who cheated or was a bad father. This is a man close to retirement, and she just wants to abandon him. She's looking for an excuse, making videos to make him look guilty. Now look at how that man asks her to help him while he recovers his eyesight, so he can go back to work because he lost his home and has to pay rent again. She can't even do that. Man, a man's life is sad. She says 50-50 is fair when you are the one who has to leave your own house and live rented again or end up on the streets. Welcome to the wall. In today's video, we'll see how women can't stand being rejected by a man, how men today are being deceived on dating apps by women who post photos they don't look like, and how they get offended in a bad way when a man rejects them. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year and get our first plaque. That's the only support we ask from you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement, share your experience in the comments for any man who needs it, and without further introduction, let's get started.
Rejection story time. This is a story of a guy who walked out on me on a first date. If you don't know me, I'm Annie, and I'm single. So I met this guy on Bumble. Wait. My friend told me that I have to be doing an activity during a story time because people need to stay to the end. So I'm gonna draw you. And you might be thinking, but I don't know what you look like. Listen, I'm a professional. Don't you worry. God, this is looking so good. Back to the story. So I matched with a guy on Bumble. We set up a date, pretty standard stuff, and I'm getting ready for this date. And I was really insecure about my smile lines around that time, as I think a lot of women are. So I bought a product on Amazon to help me with that. They were suction cup wrinkle reducers. Why is this important? It's important. So right before I get ready for my date, I use these suction cup things. Basically just like run them over your wrinkles, and it's supposed to smooth them out. I didn't really think it made a difference, but whatever. And then I put on my makeup, got dressed, and left. This is when it gets fun. So I walk into the restaurant and I see the guy. And I'm like, hey, Jonathan. And when he turns and looks at me, he looks a little off. Like his facial expression when he sees me. But I was really feeling myself. I was wearing a really nice outfit. I spent extra time on my eyeliner. I thought he was just stunned by my beauty. He is so awkward while we wait for our table. He is avoiding eye contact with me. But it's a first date, right? So I'm like, it's a little awkward. We go sit down at the table, we talk a little bit, we order some drinks, and he's still weird. Oh, I forgot about drawing you. You're looking beautiful, darling. Anyway, so I excuse myself to use the restroom when I'm done with my drink, go into a stall, do my business, come out to the stall, wash my hands, look up into the mirror, and what do I see in the mirror? Do I see a beautiful woman sparkling back at me? No. You see those suction cups that I bought? They left bruises all over my face where I use them. Here, here, here. I essentially had a bruised mustache and goatee. When I go back out to the table, realizing why this man has been avoiding looking at me, he's gone. And the manager of the restaurant walks up to me and tells me that he left and that he only paid for his portion of the tab. For anyone who thinks I'm lying, I'm not. If you're a man, what would you have done? And friends have told me that he probably didn't say anything because he thought it was birthmarks. Oh yeah, you stayed to the end. I have no talent.
It's funny because it's true.
What would you have done? I would have done the same because this man was in a bad situation. If he said something about her appearance, it would imply that she had some birth imperfections. This man could have faced a huge scene, or she could have cried at the table. Leaving, even though it hurts, is the best way to protect himself. At least she understands why it happened. But this is very frustrating for the man. We can't tell what's real anymore. There are filters that change the whole face. Overweight women hiding their bodies in photos, women posting pictures from their youth, others changing their age, and some who lie or, worse, have friends in between their legs. Dating apps today are like playing Russian roulette when meeting a woman, hoping you don't end up with a woman with a mustache because we live in a world of falsehoods. So, man, protect yourself. It's tough out there.
Y'all, when women get rejected, oh, it's deep. I don't know what it is, but we do not handle it well. Actually, I do know what it is, and I'm going to tell you in this video. Women desire to be desired, okay? That is something you're going to see in every woman. She wants to be desired. Some people allow their desire to run them. Some people can harness their desire, but all women deep down want to be desired. And so when she's not desired or does not feel desirable, she takes that internally. I mean, it makes her sad. It can cause depression. It can cause anxiety. It can cause you to feel like you're not good enough. It can cause hopelessness. I mean, it gets very deep. Because of that, I think a lot of women don't put themselves out there. I think it boils down to one simple thing. That as women, we have to accept that looks matter. And we can fight it, we can argue it, but looks matter. And when a man's not attracted to us, it hits deep. Because most men are rejecting you because they're not attracted to you.
Rejection is part of a man's life. We accept it with honor and life goes on, but women do not handle rejection well. On the contrary, they fear it. That's why the men they talk about who don't go out of their way for them are the ones they end up chasing. Men, there's nothing that hurts a woman more than being rejected by a man. Because she's not used to it. Having simps always chasing her, she thinks she's unattainable. Then comes this Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table but his seed, and brings her down from her pedestal, making her understand that she's not as special as she thinks she is. Why do you think women love men who have many women? Because this man rejects several for her to be with him. A woman feels more empowered when she has the man that all women desire, but he chooses her. That's why they become even more insistent when he politely rejects her. She sees it as a challenge to conquer that man. Women do not like being rejected.
Guys get friend-zoned, but girls get fuck-zoned. A boy stops talking to us suddenly after he gets a girlfriend, or starts ghosting us after we reject his first move. A friendship that we valued, we thought mattered, if only just a little to him, turned out not to matter at all. But in the end, we're the bad guys. We're the ones who lead the good guys on. Of course, we should just expect that's what you always want. We should just expect that friendship is never as valuable as a twist of our hand. They got friend-zoned. They only lost another girl, another rejection. But we lost a friend.
A man should not feel bad about ending a friendship after he has expressed romantic feelings for you and you don't feel the same, which is okay. Like, if you don't feel the same, you don't feel the same. But that does not mean that that man does not value friendship from females. No, because that man, he probably has enough friends. He's not looking to gain another friend. He's looking for his soulmate. A man should not be shamed when he does not want to put in the energy and effort into another friendship.
Oh, hell no!
Now ask her if she stays friends with the Chad who rejected her, or with an ex-boyfriend she was with. Why should a man who showed his feelings towards her stay in a position in her life where he never gains anything? Being in the friend zone is being a loser. For me, It's like a cartoon I saw as a kid where a chubby boy looks through the bakery window at a cake on display. He wants to eat it, but it's out of his reach. That's how being in the friend zone is. Wanting to be her man, but only staying as the gay friend who hears everything she does with Chad. Besides, you know what friendship with women is. Friendship means if you go out with her, you pay. Friendship is doing boyfriend or husband favors without benefits. Friendship is paying her share in any activity. Friendship is solving her problems with the infinite pleasure of talking to her. A self-respecting man doesn't do this crap. Don't waste your valuable time treating a friend like a girlfriend when you can treat a real girlfriend that way.
This comment is so true. It does not help to be told that you're not missing out on anything if you've never had a relationship or been in love. It doesn't help. And that second piece, I can have all the self-love in the world. I can be content with myself, but that doesn't give me a person sitting on the couch next to me or a hand to hold or a million other little things that come as a result of a relationship. I've also noticed as I've been talking about this topic that people tend to also say like, well, you're not missing anything because all I've had is bad relationships. And I want to tell those people, I am so sorry that all you've had is bad relationships. I truly am. That has got to be so painful. And I don't know how that feels. But I think we do a disservice to ourselves and other people when we take our experience and make it the whole experience. And I think we tend to do that with a lot of things. I mean, I'm guilty of this in the past as well, is this idea that just because I might not feel a certain way about something, or I might feel a certain way about something, I then make it so that everybody else does as well, or everybody else wouldn't feel a certain way as well. There's so much complexity to being a human being on this planet that just because I haven't experienced something, just because I have experienced something and it's been difficult, doesn't mean that everyone who goes into that situation is going to be difficult. Just because your relationships or the relationships you've seen around you have been traumatic or difficult doesn't mean that there isn't truly love out there. And I think that's just such a hard component for us to understand. And the other thing that I've heard a lot, and I got a lot kind of on some of these posts, is that the sense that like I'm naive, that I'm naive to the difficulties that could come in a relationship just because I've never experienced them. And that is so not true. I'm not naive to what I'm saying that I'm wishing for. I'm just saying that like, I want the chance. Just give me a chance. But then at the same time, here it is. Then at the same time, because I haven't had it for so long, now I'm like terrified of potentially putting myself out there because I've gone through so much trauma in my life that, anyway, okay, all right. So I guess I'll just say like, I'm on a journey. Maybe I'll put myself out there again. The last time I did, my crazy ex-therapist was the one creating a dating profile for me. So maybe I'll put myself out there, maybe I won't. I don't know. Anyway, have a good day.
Damn, when your own therapist has to make you a dating profile to see if you can find a man, it means that man is already tired of listening to you. This woman should write a book titled The Eternal Spinster because, honestly, she's 40 and still hitting the wall. Even the doctor who listens to her is putting her on the market to see if anyone buys her on sale. But I'll give her credit for one thing. Women who constantly have bad relationships with chads and follow their advice end up making more women single because misery loves company. Look how she herself says, "Your problems are not my problems." It's true that your poor choices don't mean I will make the same mistakes. Although she's 40, if I were her, I'd choose even with my eyes closed because the train has already left. It's better to have something than nothing, because men, the wall is unforgiving.
I was rejected by a guy in the most embarrassing and humiliating way possible, but still a part of me feels like this was my fault, so I need you guys to let me know what you think. One day, I matched with this guy on Bumble who was very, very handsome. He was a documentary filmmaker, curly brown hair, profile said 6'2". At the time, I was going through an identity crisis, so I just so happened to dye my hair back to brunette, although previous to that, I was blonde. I was on this dating app, and unfortunately I hadn't updated any of my photos to reflect the way that I looked, although the photos that I did have were just like taken 2-3 months ago. It's not like my physical appearance looked that different, it's just that my hair color was very different. So me and this guy are literally talking for 2 days, we're hitting it off, the conversation is flowing back and forth, and most of the time guys will just waste your time and not ask you out on a date, or if they ask you out on a date, they'll ask you to like go for a walk in the park. Days after us matching, we are on a date, I meet him for the first time, he's exiting his car, and he's walking towards me, and as he's walking towards me, I could tell he has like a confused look on his face. And I've been on many dates. I've never been accused of being a catfish. I've never had somebody disappointed when they saw me in real life. In fact, I've had guys tell me that they are surprised and that I actually look better in person, that I look better than in my photos. He gives me a hug, we walk to the restaurant, we sit down, we're ordering drinks, and he's just asking him random questions, trying to make small talk, and he is just being very, very odd and standoffish. And at one point during the date, he looks at me and he says, "You look a little different than on your photos." I was like, yeah, I actually dyed my hair. I went darker. I've been a brunette in the past. Like, this is actually close to my natural hair color. And I was just tired of the blonde because it was ruining my hair. And then he tells me that he thinks that that is actually misleading and that I should have updated my dating profile photos to match how my hair looks now. So then I ask him, well, would that have changed your opinion of me? Would that have made you not want to go out on a date? And he kind of laughs and shrugs it off and says, well, you know, I do like blondes. And that just like rubbed me the wrong way. Anyway, we end up splitting some appetizers on a couple of drinks, and I end up leaving and thinking to myself, like, this is probably not going to go anywhere because that guy was super, super weird. I have no plans on texting this guy, but then I get a text from him the next evening. He sends me a whole paragraph that I never even asked for. In his paragraph, he tells me that he thinks that it's not right, that I misrepresented myself on my dating profile, and that if he's being completely 100% transparent, he is into blondes, that is his specific type, and he does not prefer brunettes. I never replied to him. I ended up blocking his number. But guys, there was a part of me that almost got my butt into my car and went to Sally Beauty Supply to get some bleach because I was so insecure at that point. When I look back on it though, did I make a mistake? Did I misrepresent myself? Did I catfish this guy? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
It's the problem with female hypocrisy. How do you think a man feels when he's expecting a blonde woman, but a brunette shows up? I know it's just a change in hair color, but those are his standards, and they should be respected. Why do women get upset when men have standards? Let's put ourselves in her place. She says she went out with a documentary director. A man who earns over 5 figures, has curly brown hair, is attractive, and above all, is 6 feet tall. Why is it that you are perfectly fine with making sure the man you go out with meets your standards, but it bothers you when he rejects you for not meeting his? It's like ordering your package from Amazon and getting exactly what you ordered, while he orders his package from AliExpress and gets a Chinese knockoff. Women believe they have the right to choose, but men cannot. At least be thankful that this man was polite and didn't leave immediately. Because I assure you, if a short, unattractive man who works at McDonald's had shown up, you would have rejected him in the worst way. Welcome to the wall. In today's video, we will see how a single mother has a crisis because she has to take care of Chad's child alone. We will see part of her decision-making process and how this strong and independent woman knows everything except how to choose a good man to have a child with. We want to invite you to smash that like button and help us reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year to get our first plaque. That's the only support we ask from you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave us your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. And without further introduction, let's get started.
Come with me on a 3-day Royal Caribbean cruise to the Bahamas. I'm really going to try my best with this voiceover because my throat is gone after all the activities. We had such a great time, so we came a day early because I've always been told for a cruise to come a day early, so we ended up going out Thursday night in Miami. I actually did not know anybody in the group that we were going with. We were celebrating Christina and John's 5-year wedding anniversary. I was Dace's +1, so I did not know literally a single person but her. The ceremony was bright and early on the ship, so we headed there after we got ready, and since we were with a wedding party, we got the VIP. We got to go to the little VIP VIP lounge. I was like, oh, okay. Early boarding, we celebrated love. Everybody was so beautiful and so amazing. We partied for a couple hours and then headed to our room, and then we went out to explore the ship. The views from the top were absolutely beautiful. Miami is so gorgeous. This was my first time going on a cruise, so I had no idea what to expect, but I was very impressed with Royal Caribbean. All of the food that was included was absolutely delicious. The service was fabulous. They had so many entertaining shows. They had the gym. Obviously, y'all know I'm gonna get a workout in. The one thing about it, I was taking advantage of that all-inclusive. Our first stop was at Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which is Royal Caribbean's island. Imagine your company so successful that you have a whole island. Anyways, we went to Hideaway Beach, which was the adults only side, and it was a party. I think saying it was a party is a little bit of an understatement. I cannot even tell y'all how many drinks we had. My man Carlton right there was hooking us up. He had the best drinks. Then, of course, little champagne showers. We met the best people at this pool party. Everybody was just such a great time. And it was nice because there was only 2 ships there, so it was just people from the boat. We showered and went to dinner and then hit up the ice skating show, which was amazing. And then we saw the karaoke, and then they had a Latin dance party. 3 days, honestly, was not enough time to see all the activities and to truly do everything we wanted to do. And on the last day, I was honestly having so much fun, so I didn't film that much. But that's our weekend recap. Bye, guys.
Here we have the single mother on a girl's trip to Miami, then a cruise to the Bahamas. You know, men, the famous girl's trip to Miami. Let me tell you, man, if you let your woman go on a girl's trip to Miami, let me tell you that you don't have a woman. Just look at how the party goes. Single mothers complain about carrying the entire load, but we all know that's a lie because there's always the grandma or the nanny who gets paid with daddy's child support. But they won't give credit to that. Now, let's watch the video where she comes out crying, saying that being a single mother alone is difficult.
Bro, being a single mom is literally the hardest shit ever. Like, you cannot do anything. I literally got like one side of my weights racked at the gym because I tried to work out, and they're calling me over the intercom to come get him literally after 5 minutes because he don't want to be with anybody but me because I'm the only person with him. But you literally just can't do anything. I'm literally so exhausted from work, like 90% of the time. So I don't ever get to do like a good, like real workout. And I got up trying to do a workout this evening and he don't even want to go to the kids club. This is like the 3rd time I've tried to take him. He does not like to be with strangers. So it just makes it hard because I can't do anything. The only time I have help is when I'm working. But I can't ever do anything for myself. And the other parent just gets to do whatever they want. Literally whatever. You can go hang out with your friends. You can work out. You can complain about how tired you are. But really, like, look at my life. Like, look what I have to do every single day. I hate even complaining about this because my mom helps me a lot. And I have a nanny for my son twice a week. But that's while I'm working. I'm working 24/7. As an entrepreneur, my brain is in work mode 24/7. And I only have physical help while I'm working. And so it just makes it difficult whenever I need to do things for myself. Like, my nails are down to the nubs. My toes are a whole different story. Because it's like, when do I have the time? Where's the time to go and do that? Like, I don't have anybody to keep him for me to go sit and get my nails done for an hour. I joined a gym with childcare and he doesn't want to go to the childcare because he doesn't like strangers. I can't do work from home because if I look down for 2 seconds, he's climbed up on my kitchen island. And then you got to deal with the other party complaining that you're not being nice to them. And cleaning, just cleaning all day, every day. That's literally my life. I needed to let that cry out. It's been a little minute since I've cried. I feel like I've just been so numb to all emotion that I just haven't cried. So that did make me feel a little bit better, but it's been rough recently and he does not want anybody but me. Which I love. My mama heart loves it. But my Caitlin heart, myself, wishes that he could be okay with the childcare so that I could get a workout in. My son is 17 months old and this has by far been the hardest stage of all of it. Hi baby, the sweetest, but definitely the hardest, and I'm acquiring a lot of mental strength.
throughout this, but sometimes you just have a little breakdown. Yeah, it's a lot. We're gonna figure it out. This is embarrassing. I'll probably delete this later.
Oh my God! Being a single mother is really a burden, but that's why we always say that a woman's top priority is choosing the father of her children. If you open your legs to Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table except his seed, you can't complain afterward that this man doesn't want to take responsibility for his seed. Because who gives access to the bed? The woman. Who has the risk of getting pregnant? The woman. If you choose an irresponsible father who can't even guarantee you commitment, then it's really your fault. She is not complaining about the struggle. She is complaining that she can't live her single life. But as we saw in the first video of the trip to Miami, which was a day after this, we can see that she had a very liberal life. Seeing this makes it clear what type of man she chose as the father of her child.
I'm having a much better day today, so we're gonna have a real conversation about the very vulnerable video I just posted yesterday of me crying in my car because my son would not let me work out. I truthfully just can't even give the men the attention that they're seeking, because I'm just blocking every man that comments on that video because they're just talking about that stupid single mom song, which I don't think is funny at all. I don't think making fun of somebody who's trying to raise a child, who's trying to raise the next generation, I don't think making fun of somebody who's struggling is funny. Like, that's not okay. That's not funny. Y'all are being bullies and you're being very immature, and that's not manly of you. That's very, very weak. So y'all don't even deserve my energy, but that's the only thing I wanted to say about the men who want to shame somebody who's actually struggling. And a general message to the ones who have the mindset of, you laid down with this man, you chose this, get married first, stop complaining, we all have to be a parent. Where is, like, we're in such a me society. Like, y'all literally only care about yourselves. You have no empathy for somebody who's struggling. And I guarantee there's areas of your life that you're struggling, but it's just different. We all struggle differently. And obviously I parent every single day, and I parent very well for my son to be so attached to me. And there was a lot of people saying things also that, like, okay, you don't see my page. All you see is a video of me crying about being a single mom. You don't know my life. You don't know the things that I've actually shared with my community and my audience on here, which is understandable, but let me enlighten you. I lived at my parents' house for the first, like, 10 months of my son's life, so he has been around men. He is very, very comfortable and absolutely loves my younger brother and my dad. He's obsessed with them, and he's also with my mom 3 days a week. She keeps him while I work. I own my own business. I'm a personal trainer, so I am waking up at 4:45 every day to drop Maverick off either with his nanny or with my mom, and then I get to the gym for my first client at 6:30, and it is now 10:38, and I'm leaving the gym to go walk my dog and feed my dog. And then I also have 75 online clients that I have to check in with, check their stats, check their workouts, and do programming for. So I'm working usually until I go pick my son up. I pick my son up at 1 o'clock. I also do content creation. So in between all of this, and then after I pick my son up, I am editing, I am filming, which I'm not complaining about because I've never complained about my job. Love my job so much. It's mentally taxing also being a mother. And then I also have a dog too, like I said. So my days are just super slam packed most of the time, usually until I put him to bed, and then I do a couple more hours of work, clean up around the house, and then go from there. Get home gym equipment. Yes, I have 2 sets of dumbbells, a little ab machine, and resistance bands that are actually my own brand of resistance bands because, again, I am a personal trainer. So I do very much know, and also in my fitness app, I have several categories and programs dedicated to mothers that cannot make it to the gym because obviously that is my life.
Damn! Here I want to highlight something I say because men don't feel empathy for them. It's simple. She is a strong and independent woman, surely the typical woman with high standards, the entrepreneurial woman who has her own business, blah, blah, blah. But the first 10 months of your child's life, you were at your parents' house. What does that tell us? That one of 3 things happened here. 1, she fell in love with a Chad. who didn't have a stable relationship because he didn't move her in during her first day of pregnancy. 2. That man is married. 3. She got too empowered and left the father during the first days after her child was born. But I lean towards the first one. I repeat again, the most important choice in a woman's life is the father of her children, because 90% of women end up with the child. If you tell me that you didn't spend even a day living with the father after the child was born, it means this wasn't a lasting relationship with a responsible man. It was a fun time that went wrong for her. Now she has to raise Chad's seed.
But that's not what I want to do. And that was kind of my point of it. Like, I can work out, and if you look at my page, you see that I am on a running journey right now. I am going to be doing a 10-mile race in a couple months, and I run with my son. I got a jogging stroller. We go running. So yes, I can exercise, but my love is for athletic training. I want to do box jumps. I want to do cleans. I want to do barbell exercises. I want to squat. I want to deadlift. I want to do the big lifts. And so, yes, it is a sacrifice I have to make, but my point is that it's not fair that I'm the only party making sacrifices when it takes two to bring a child into the world. It takes two to make the choice. It takes two to lay down. It takes two to make those decisions that ultimately leads to a child being brought into the world. But for some reason, all of the blame and all of the shame is placed on the parent who is taking care of the child 24/7 and never on the parent who is doing nothing. Why can't he stay with his dad? His dad moved out of state when he was 10 months old. So he hasn't seen his dad in over 2 months now, because I took him to see his dad. Yeah, it's been like 2.5 months. I took him to see his dad and he hasn't seen him since. Pay your nanny longer. Well, actually, there is 1 day a week where she is unavailable to keep him for a longer time, because she also has things that she does. And then 2, I can't afford it. I'm already paying almost $900 a month for part-time care. There's no daycares near me that do part-time. Well, they do part-time, but you have to have somebody else who's filling in the remainder of the time so that it equals a full-time, but you're like splitting it between 2 people, which is just very dumb. But even then, it's just outlandishly expensive. And I am a business owner and my business does very well, but my bills are high. I have to have a 2-bedroom apartment so my son can have his own space. I have my business expenses. I have the childcare. I have outlandish grocery bills, because y'all understand how this economy is right now. And as parents, we are allowed to have times where we just have to let it out. It is so freaking hard, but truthfully, even as hard as it is, I wouldn't change anything. I absolutely love my life. I don't hate the situation I'm in at all. Is it unfortunate? Yes, but my son is 17 months old now. Like, my boo-hooing was already, I went through all of that when I was pregnant. I already went through all of these emotions when I was pregnant, but I'm allowed to know and acknowledge that there's days and times where it can be really hard, especially when you have a teething, growing 1.5-year-old. Okay, it's hard. No, I do not need to explain these things, but I feel it needs to be said, because y'all have got to stop. I'm not saying everybody, but you know, especially the men. I doubt they even made it this far in the video, but the single parent slander is just insane. And it's not just for single moms, but I'm not a single dad. I've said this so many times. I'm not a single dad, so I can't speak for single dads. Like, if you're a single dad and you feel so offended, like, why don't you make content for single dads then? Like, I'm making content for single mothers, and I'm sharing vulnerability. I'm sharing my life for single mothers. I'm not going to speak about single dads because I'm not one. But you truthfully need to look within if you're seriously sitting here and making fun of somebody who's struggling. Like, that just makes no sense to me, and that's very, very cruel, to be honest, and just says more about you and your character. And hope you have the day you deserve. Bye.
The father moved to another state and hasn't seen the child in 2 months. This is a classic Chad. As they say, it takes 2 to create a child, but only one has the power to decide with whom to have the child. I'm sure there were better men with more fatherly qualities. There are many beta providers in this world, especially in gyms. I'm sure there was one who could have been a better prospect as a father, but those men don't give her a roller coaster of emotions. She went for the one who did, and look how it ended. This single mother situation is what happens most often nowadays because children are raised with a nanny or the grandmother, and still, she complains. These men are lucky, 2 months without knowing about the child, and they're not even held responsible. Of course, he's a Chad, and she won't want to mess with him. But you know what makes me laugh? When it comes to choosing a stepfather, then she wants to set standards and pretend she wants a good man. But let's watch the next video and see the comments men left that have her so upset.
Let's rate comments I've gotten on the video I posted about being stressed about single mom life. I'm sorry you didn't make a good decision on who to procreate with, but please realize that's on you. I appreciate the grammar in this comment, so I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 10. You signed up for this. Yeah, so why complain? Yes, I went to the convention where you sign up to become a single mom and put my name at the top of the list. 0 out of 10. Keep your legs closed. You knew the possibilities on here, sounding like a 4-year-old that can't get her way. Laughing emojis. Wah. All the laughing faces just kind of made the comment a little bit immature. And then why did you say yeah, like Y-A-H? Are we adults or like, how are we typing? 0. This was a common one, so I just picked this one because I like the little tilted laughing face, so I'm gonna give that a 2. Clothes, yeah, and legs, ain't nobody problem but yours. I wish your mom would have done the same. 1 out of 10. I'm not trying to scare you, but please go get your thyroids checked. The way your neck is can be a sign of thyroid cancer. I'm not gonna lie, this one, I had to sit and stare at it for a second because I couldn't believe that this was a real comment underneath my video. And like, I don't know what to take from this. Like, she's showing a little bit of care. You know what I'm saying? Being vulnerable, giving her personal experience. You get it? 4 out of 10, you know? Thank you for the concern, but my thyroids are good. Let's go. Yes, Miss Independent. We don't need no man. Whew. And you still got mommy helping you out. Please stop. Go build some roads or buildings. This comment went in a little too many directions for me. So I really like that emoji though, so I'm going to give it a 1. Well, you chose to be a single mom. Unoriginal. 0 out of 10. That's your fault. I just really dislike improper grammar. Short and sweet though. To the point. 1 out of 10. There were so many more, but I deleted them. But this is truly comical. And please, like, if you choose to be a content creator, influencer, sharing your life on the internet, please be prepared for stuff like this. Like, you got to be able to look at comments like this and laugh, because especially if you have a video go viral and get a lot of attention, you're gonna get all different types of opinions, all different types of trolls, all different types of people giving their 2 cents. And if you cannot handle it mentally, don't away. Because the way I be looking at this, like, if I was a weak bitch, I would be crying myself and melting into the bed right now with some of the things that y'all are saying. Y'all trying to eat me up, but you can't. But you can't. Have the day you deserve.
It's funny because it's true.
The Bible says the truth will set you free. The truth hurts. All these comments were right. Why do you want empathy if you chose the father of your child? It's not like you set out to be a single mother. Here's the funny part. Women know how to choose clothes from thousands of items and colors to paint their nails. They claim to be smarter than men, but when it comes to choosing a good man, they never know how. Women who choose hardworking and responsible men, who first establish a solid relationship before having children, don't go through these things. Because if your child is already with your mother in the first 10 months of life, that means you left. You didn't want to be a wife. You like the single life. Or you only like Chad for intimacy, not for a life together. You got pregnant due to your carelessness. Many questions, few answers, but one thing is certain. Every action leads to a reaction. If you choose the wrong father for your children, you have to deal with the consequences.
You need me, because if all men disappeared, who would protect the women? Oh, darling, if all men disappeared, we wouldn't need protection.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, We'll see how a woman makes a huge scene just because a man approached her in a store parking lot. We'll see how women say to leave them alone, but when they are in danger, they complain that men don't want to help them. We want to invite you to smash that like button and support us in reaching 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year to get our first plaque. That's the only contribution we ask of you, man. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Share your experiences in the comments for any man who needs them. Without further introduction, let's get started.
A male approached me in a parking lot. He's, "Excuse me, miss," and I don't know why in the hell he was approaching me or what he was trying to do. And before he was probably 30 feet from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I turned around and I literally yelled at him and I said, "Do not approach me."
So let me get this straight. You're in a crowded parking lot in the middle of the day, and this man approaches you and politely says, "Excuse me, ma'am," and you turn around and start screaming at him like a maniac? This brings up a couple of issues, not the least of which is that this is contributing to the deterioration of the way in which we treat each other in a polite society. I mean, if I can't approach a woman in a public place to say, "Excuse me, ma'am, you drop this," without her turning around and screaming her head off and causing a scene, then we're staring down the road into a future where we no longer treat each other with common decency. But this also ties into this phenomenon where men are no longer pursuing women romantically, and women being confused as to why. You see, a good, decent, traditional man will want to pursue a woman face-to-face in a public setting, someplace not at a bar or a club. Well, the most common places we run into each other as men and women are the grocery store, the gym, church, you name it. Now, part of me does feel bad for this woman because she genuinely seems shaken up by this, but my question is why? Who taught you that if a man approaches a woman in broad daylight in a very public place, that he's probably doing it in order to cause you harm? I'm not saying that stuff like that doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen often enough to warrant that kind of a reaction. What I'm trying to wrap my head around is that women don't want to be approached by men out in public, especially at the gym. Yet you'll entertain all of these sleazy dudes who slid into your DMs who are probably married or in a relationship, or you'll go out with some guy you met on Tinder and go hiking in some remote location and you haven't even had a chance to vet the guy yet. As a woman, there's nothing wrong with being cautious and guarded when dealing with men out in public, but you can do that without acting like an insane person. If you're a woman in the market for a man, you might want to open yourself up to the idea of meeting and talking to a man in these more public places like the grocery store or the gym if you want to find the type of man that you are looking for. Because these dudes that are sliding into your DMs probably don't fit that description.
Absolutely. If one can't approach in a natural way, how are we supposed to do it? Also, why do women have such inflated egos these days? This woman didn't even let the man say what he wanted to say, and he was 30 feet away from her. That's a considerable distance for her to feel threatened. But because of her narcissism and desire to feel important, what better way than to insult and record a video minutes after a creepy man approached her? But something I learned in sales is that it's not the message, it's who delivers the message. How so? Mr. The Wall. Simple. If it had been a man who won the genetic lottery, say an 8 to 10 in attractiveness, I bet her reaction would have been entirely different. It's well known that being ugly is equivalent to being dangerous or creepy, and the same principle doesn't apply to a physically attractive man. But as I said, she doesn't even know why he approached her. He could have been warning her about something with her car. But since he was an ugly man, he must be dangerous. Let's see if another woman has something more to say.
There is a video going around of a woman describing her experience of being alone with her son when a strange man starts to approach her, which she yells, "Do not approach me, get away from me," and the man gets like offended before going away. And I've said it on this channel before, but I will say it again. Men do not seek out women for help. They will either seek out another man or they will contact the authorities. There is almost no reason for a man to be approaching a woman in public that they do not know, especially if that woman is a mother with her child and they are alone. This happened in the parking lot of a grocery store. If he really needed something, he could go inside the grocery store and ask for assistance from an associate. Leave women alone.
Okay, leave women alone because a man doesn't seek to help women. But here's something very interesting. The oldest instinct of a man towards a woman is to protect. This means that when a man sees a woman in danger, his instinct makes him react, something that is being lost these days. In countries where traditionalism still exists, a woman wouldn't react this way unless there was an attack or an attempt of one. Because, as I said, the woman didn't even listen to what he was going to say, and he was 30 feet away. She only thought of two things. He's a creepy guy who's going to hurt me in a crowded parking lot, or he wants to court me. But she didn't think he might say, "Look, your rear tire is low on air, or you have a damaged directional light, or your car is leaking oil, or your rear light is broken, or you have a flat tire, or be careful, there was an accident on the road ahead, or check on your kids. I think one ate a bug. Anything, brothers, she didn't know. Just because he was a man, she discriminated against him as dangerous. But of course, we shouldn't approach until she's in real danger. Then she wants you to be a man. Just watch the next video.
Watched a white girl fight off a robber at gunpoint. He literally had a gun to her. She fought him off, got the magazine out the gun and everything. But the crazy part about it was that there was two men watching very close by. I mean, literally very close by. They were right within the vicinity, which is weird because why would that man try to rob her with those two guys there? But he did it because he knew they wasn't gonna do shit, and they did not. It was one man sitting on the.
I don't know why this is such a hard concept to understand, but women created this situation where they dislike men so much that men finally said, fuck it, we're not going to help you, we're not going to protect you, we owe you absolutely nothing, and because you're just some random stranger, I no longer have to help you. And really what gets me about the video is that there's a lot of other people in that video. Most people did a singular focus on the man sitting in the grass when that woman was getting attacked, but there were women there. So what happened to women supporting women? You know, y'all like to preach like how you're girls and you're supporting each other and oh my God, I'm always here for you. But you see a woman getting attacked and there's two women walking the other direction. Why aren't they running to her defense? Right, because you want the men that you claim are such trash to save you. And this is a perfect example of what women do all of the freaking time. They create this standard for how men should treat them, whether that's in the dating phases, in the marriage stages, in friendships, whatever it is. And they created this standard where they hate men so much, but now you want protection from said men. And now that you don't get it, the men are weak. Make it make sense. You cannot continuously drag men and blame the patriarchy and all of this bullshit around you, but then expect men to jump in and save you. Why don't you all call a freaking bear? Okay, bye.
Exactly. Why should I put my life on the line when you tell me to leave women alone? Oh, because there's a standard for women that dictates when a man should be a man and when he shouldn't. You can't be a man when you approach them because you're dangerous if you're ugly. But if they're in danger, you must risk your life to defend them for the simple pleasure of their gratitude, because that's what a man does. Why didn't the women, who are so supportive and not a danger, step in to defend her? Because they don't care. And if you put them to choose 1,000 times between helping you against an armed man or saving themselves, you're out of luck because they will choose themselves every single time. You are strong and independent when a decent guy approaches without saying a single word, and you insult him. But you become the weaker sex when you're in danger or need a man's help, as shown in the next video where the situation isn't as extreme.
I'm quite literally rolling around in horse shit, trying to get this bottom thing off my car. I don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna cry. I'm trying to get this off, and I need a screwdriver to take it off. And I just wish someone would pull over and help me, because I don't know what to do. Oh, someone just pulled over. No way. Thank you so much.
I gotta say it, guys. This woman's reaction is how most independent women would react. And I know I might get a lot of hate for saying it, but this proves men's points when they roll their eyes at women that say, I don't need no man. Because sure, when things are going well for you and you're not running into any issues, you're not stranded on the side of the road with your car falling apart. Of course, you can be a little overconfident in what you're capable of handling. But don't forget that one, the reason why your life is pretty easy is because of men. And two, the second your life becomes not so easy, guess who you're going to be hoping and praying is headed your way.
Why didn't a woman stop to help her and get down in the horse manure to fix her car? Because there's no way she would stop to help. Solidarity among women doesn't exist. When they have problems, it's always a man who comes to the rescue. Being strong and independent only made her cry. If a man hadn't come, she would have been stuck there until the next day or abandoned the car altogether. I bet if that same man approached her in another situation, she would have reacted like the first woman in the parking lot. That's how they are. When they need a man, you're not dangerous. When they don't need you, then you're creepy. Why doesn't another woman help? Because no woman would dirty her clothes for another woman, and none would do that for free. They would simply say, let a man help. But Mr. Simp has no better logic regarding the woman in the parking lot. Let's take a look.
If I can't approach a woman in a public place to say, excuse me, ma'am, you dropped this, without her turning around and screaming her head off and causing a scene, then we're staring down the road into a future where we no longer treat each other with common decency.
So I was tagged in this video where this man is upset that men are being discouraged from approaching random women in parking lots. Now the video itself is a response to this video.
I'm literally shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot.
Danielle is a lone female with a child. A man is 30 feet away and approaches her and says, hey ma'am. She does not want to be approached, and so she yells at him, do not approach me, and continues to yell at him until he goes away. The comments on her original video are pretty vile. Men calling her out for being crazy and hysterical, and Nate here seems to think that this modest act of impoliteness is going to be responsible for the downfall of civility. And what's frustrating about this is Nate actually runs headfirst into the point.
Genuinely seems shaken up by this, but my question is why? He's probably doing it in order to cause you harm.
And that should be where the video ends. A man is confused by a woman's behavior, he puts himself in her shoes, displays a little empathy and compassion, and suddenly we all grow and learn from the experience. The end. But sadly, we don't live in that world.
I'm not saying that stuff like that doesn't happen, but it doesn't happen often enough to warrant that kind of a reaction.
That's right, he doesn't feel it happens often enough for women's fear to be justified, which begs the obvious question of how much assault does he think needs to happen for women's fear to be justified? But that's on us, because as everyone knows, if you want to know how often violence against women is enacted, you don't ask a former cop, you ask a cop's wife. Look, this shouldn't need to be said, but it does not matter whether you feel the fear is justified or not. She was very clearly shaken up by the experience. The fear was very real to her. And it seems obvious that a single woman alone with a child, whether she should prioritize being polite or setting and establishing boundaries so that they are safe, a civilized society would say, be safe every time, forget about being polite. But even worse, Nate's real concern isn't actually civility.
A traditional man will want to pursue a woman face-to-face in a public setting. If you're a woman in the market for a man, you might want to open yourself up to the idea of meeting and talking to a man in these more public places like the grocery store or the gym if you want to find the type of man that you were looking for.
Nate's main concern is that if women stop allowing strange men to approach them in parking lots, how are middle-aged traditional men like him supposed to get laid? Now, forgetting that nobody asked, is there a more perfect example of the disconnect between women and the men who refuse to listen to them than a woman explaining she is fearful of being robbed, attacked, assaulted, kidnapped, or worse, and a man telling her that this is irrational and she should instead far more prioritize the fear of missing out on a husband like him? And look, I get it. Anybody who's watched Amelia's series on Why Are You Single knows why these men tend to avoid and struggle on dating apps. But it should be very obvious that if your dating strategy involves invalidating women's genuine fears so that you can justify why you should still be allowed to approach random women in parking lots so that you can hit on them, perhaps you're not the catch you think you are.
God, please, no! No! No!
Now, Mr. Simps, if a woman is in danger because her car has a problem, someone is following her, or another woman who has something against her wants to harm her or her children, what should a man do when he sees these warning signs? According to him, the best thing would be to let the situation happen and not get involved. So, you've heard it. If you see a woman in danger, Mr. Simps tells you not to approach. He tells us a man should put himself in a woman's shoes and show empathy. Of course, since you weren't insulted just for approaching without saying a word, it's easy to say be mature about that embarrassing moment when she insulted you in front of everyone in the parking lot. But worse yet, she doesn't say anything to the woman, then records a video talking about how the man is creepy because she can't have a bit of empathy. But remember, how many dangerous situations does a woman need to be in for men to understand why they shouldn't approach? Yet, half of the world's population today exists because men made the first move to win over a woman, back when dating apps didn't exist. But man, you have to be empathetic when you see a woman. No matter the situation, show empathy and don't approach her, like the gentleman in the following video did.
I'm here to say one more thing.
Oh, goody.
I just had to drag my AC out of my car to my apartment building. 3 guys passed me. None of them offered to help.
Why should they? Women are strong and independent. They can do everything on their own.
None. 0 out of 3. Why? Because you couldn't lift it? You were too scared to lift it? Is that why? Am I intimidating? Am I more masculine than you?
No, that's not what it is at all. But let's take a moment to think about how many women, thousands upon thousands of women, are saying every single day that in fact they don't need men. They don't need them at all. In fact, they're saying sometimes that the world would be better off without men. But apparently, some women still need men for grunt work. I should think that they would be grateful that men are finally listening to their wishes, ideas, and their feelings. But apparently not when it comes to lifting heavy objects.
Not because Mr. Simps told us to show empathy, but because we see that you are a strong and independent woman. We don't want to be oppressors interfering with your determination to resolve your own issues, so we let you handle them, proving that you are a modern woman. Mr. Simps should be proud of those 3 men who understood the message and showed their empathy. So, men, learn to let women handle their issues. Don't get involved in situations that don't concern you because we don't want women to panic. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Do you think the woman overreacted, or were her reasons legitimate? Have you ever been in a situation where a woman became hysterical just because you approached her? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.